Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Sesh. Welcome to the channel. So, if you guys don't know me, I'm a 17 to 1800 rated chess player, which on chess.com is right around the 99th percentile of online chess players. So, in this series, we're going to be going over some of my best games. I'll start another series where we're going to look at some of my worst games, and we're going to analyze them in depth and see what takeaways we can get, all to help you guys get your ratings up. I want to see you guys doing better. In this game, we have a 2200 rated Sicilian defense, starting with e4, c5. This is the Sicilian. Now, my favorite Sicilian is the dragon, where after opponent opens up, say for example, we're going to be fianchettoing our bishop, taking over this long diagonal. But instead of going for an open Sicilian, my opponent plays the stonewall defense. So the problem with this opening, the drawback is that it creates a massive hole on d4, but that doesn't mean that we should be in a rush to just put a piece on there immediately. Although there are no pawns left that could possibly kick out a piece here, he does have a bishop and a knight that could trade off a piece, and the last thing we want to do is fill that hole with a pawn. So my opponent really trying to clamp down on the d5 square, so I'm going to try not to give him that same hole on here, reserving my right to play e6 at any time. I'm going to start with my knight out. Opponent brings his knight out. And I'm still going to fianchetto. This is a really nice diagonal, especially if we get d6. This whole diagonal is just going to be super strong for my bishop. Opponent developing. And right away, this is a kind of crazy move because not only am I defending this with a pawn, also a knight and a bishop. So that's a free pawn. I know I said I didn't want to block up this square, but a free pawn's a free pawn. So in this case, it's okay. We're also kicking out knight, which he's jumping this in, which does make sense for the position, but it's very premature. In the beginning, you want to be developing your pieces, um, castling your king to safety. You don't want to be moving the same piece a bunch of times, sacrificing pawns for no reason, although you can sacrifice some pawns to gain time. This isn't really a secure position for the knight, even though it looks like it might be, and that's because we can still kick him out. Now, here, guys, I got a little bit of tunnel vision because although this knight is on my territory, right, it's a piece on my half of the board, which typically a good rule of thumb is when a piece is on your half of the board, you want to get rid of it. But in this instance, this knight doesn't have any direct threats. Stockfish is saying it's actually best to get a square for my bishop first, and then we can kick out this knight later. I went straight for it. I kick out this knight and develop my own. Now this bishop is completely blocked behind its own pawns. Combo that with, you know, this bishop kind of stuck behind this pawn, only has one square, and we have a bit of an advantage. So now my opponent going for an aggressive attack. This always bothers me. A lot of d4 players will play this where, you know, they don't even want to castle. They just start throwing pawns immediately. I always find it a little bit disrespectful. Um, Me personally, it just doesn't seem sound at all, and I think it's sometimes it may work, but overall, we're gonna be stopping this attack, and with his king still in the center, if you ask me, they're kind of disrespecting my skill level. Now, my plan is to get rid of this bishop, force it to a more passive position, and eventually open up my own bishop and control these light squares, but not the best move. Better to strike in the center. I was a little bit deterred from this move just because of the strong control they have over that square, but maybe that's exactly why you should challenge it. So, okay, bishop retreating, and this was a bit of one move-itis from me. You know, I was thinking, yeah, if they do something stupid, let's say like then I can have a discovered attack on the king, but that's wishful thinking. So we're gonna learn from this. We're not gonna play moves like this because they're easily countered, which is what my opponent played. And now I'm stuck moving my queen again. It's not the end of the world. We're aiming down on this weak pawn. No, it's okay. We're still holding some small advantage up a pawn. Opponent continuing with his attack, and I wanted to clear out some space for my queen, put some pressure down here, maybe throw in this fork. Um, Computer says it's a mistake, but we're up a pawn anyways, so it's not outrageous to try and sacrifice a pawn, pushing it out of the way to clear up space for your other pieces. Now my queen and my bishop both have much better scope, say also threatening to take here. So, it's not a blunder, maybe just an inaccuracy. Opponent going here, but now we see the purpose of this move. Who can tell me? Drop it down in the comments, guys. What happens if my opponent takes my bishop? All right, pause it, think about it. All right, what's going to happen is they're getting checkmated on the next move. So that's not a possibility. Instead, opponent defending, going backwards and defending, it's actually better in this position to castle. Which I probably would have done this. But instead, my opponent defending with the piece, still leaving his king in the center, just praying that he's going to be able to use his rook to attack me on the flanks, which, it is what it is. Don't be scared of this attack, guys. It might seem scary, but with the king this week, his rooks aren't connected. This can cause a lot of problems for them down the line. And in this case, this is a blunder because his rook is trapped in the corner. Now, opponent trying to get some sort of counterplay, but instead we're going to fork the rook on top of it. You ever seen a rook get attacked twice? Yeah, I wouldn't want to be this rook. So opponent trades it off, and now queen has to take, otherwise we're threatening another queen, although it's kind of well defended. But it is what it is. We pick up the rook, and we trade off bishops. Have to be a little bit careful here, guys. Always looking at the whole board. We can't, we have a lot of action going on in this corner. It can be easy to just look here, but the queen has a scope that stretches the entire board, right? Look at all these squares that this queen controls from here. It's like, honestly, it might be half the board. Like, and one square in particular is a big threat, mate threat on g7, so we have to take care of that. Could play f6, or in this case, my knight's in position, pick up that pawn, and always paying attention. Just because one piece moves doesn't mean that all the threats are coming from that piece. In this case, we have a discovered attack on my rook. Anytime a piece moves, it's not just about that piece, it's also about the pathways that open up. So I'm going to throw in this check, pick up the rook. Now at this point, this should be a fairly straightforward win, unless, of course, you get extreme tunnel vision and you basically decide you're going to take this pawn no matter what before you even know what your opponent is going to do. In which case, guys, when your opponent plays knight e1, I'm sure you guys can come up with a better move. Honestly, anything would have been better than what I did, which is hanging my queen in one move. Yes, guys, I've been over 1800 rated. I'm a little bit lower now, although I want to get my rating back up soon. I just hung my queen in one move. So that still happens, It is what it is. And funny enough, we were winning by so much material that it's not even losing yet. So we're still winning. It's all good. Pick up that knight. Activate our rook. This was kind of a silly move. This was a one-move-itis kind of move. Yeah, you win a pawn and you attack my rook, but rooks need open files, right? So right now my rook is doing nothing. These are all the squares that my rooks are controlling. After you take this pawn, now you either have to move your knight or get it pinned, and then lost. Now my rook has a lot more scope. Say once it activates, it could be controlling a lot more squares. So, anyways, opponent trying to get some counterplay, and wait for it, guys. Not only did I blunder my queen at 1770 rating, my opponent also blundered their queen at 1800 rating. So these are not crazy games. You guys can rank up. I'm telling you, if you're under 1600, you can get your rating up. These are You don't have to be an amazing player. You don't need to memorize hours and hours of deep theory and all this, and then you come to the board and your opponent plays the most random nonsense you've ever seen. You just need to relax, focus up, and pay attention. Blunders happen, and you just need to look for your opportunities when you see them. Alright, guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you got value out of it, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, drop a comment down below. Let me know, do you guys want to see me reviewing some of my losses, more wins? Um, I'm open to anything, so we could even review other people's games. I could review your games if you want to send me some games. That's all well and good. Just let me know down in the comments below, and you guys have a great day. All right, peace.